Hello everyone, Sabaki here and welcome back to Aska and welcome back to the 9 Realms playthrough. I spent the night since the last episode out collecting some Yoten blood and fibre, so while I head back home to summon our new villager, our good friend Editor Bucky is going to lay out the plans for today. Take it away, Editor Bucky. Fine. So in the last episode we broke ground on the village of New Asgard, we built some stuff, summoned some villagers.
Hello!
And then I promptly got my ass handed to me by a bunch of skeletons during the first blood moon. I didn't die, but my pride was wounded a little. So today we need to focus on defense, training warriors and assigning them to the militia for the next blood moon. We also need to continue growing our population to a point where New Asgard can more or less handle its own day-to-day functions, after which we'll be free to start working on the main goal of this series, outposts. Now let's find out together how quickly Sabaki gets distracted and goes off script. Oh, what a good start to the episode. A crafter for the daytime. We have a nighttime one at the moment, but Sven here, he can become our daytime crafter. Unless one of these 3 perks is the nighttime perk, which I think, given my luck, it could be. Okay, so let's start building. Let's start making good on the settlement plan from episode 1 by putting down the first of our defensive structures over here towards the large spire. I haven't seen any wights or anything ambling over yet, but I mean, come on, it looks close enough that I'm sure it's going to happen sooner or later. And I do want to start with the barracks. They're just a bit easier to control with the militia. Honestly, like a handful of melee militia just absolutely rinse anything they come across in the early game. This looks about good. Okay, let's get this down. Let's get this built. Oh, you know what though? Before I start, I am going to take the stonecutter off duty. She's always like standing around complaining that her storage is full, which makes sense because it's not a great big storage and we have so much stone early game. So yes, I'm going to take her off. She's going to become a builder. That'll just help me get this up and running that little bit faster. And also to make it faster still, I'm just going to break down the stone clumps over here. That way Alva and my other builder, they don't have to take the stones one at a time from the complete opposite end of the village. They're just going to be lying on the floor here. That is a smart thing to do. Proud of myself. There is the barracks, and honestly, I don't actually think I have somebody too skilled right now. Yeah, we just have Sven with that mostly 1 star for some reason. Okay, whatever. So I'm going to hold off assigning Sven to the barracks. I have a lot of builds planned for the next day or so. So having an extra pair of hands for as long as we can is going to be beneficial. And who knows, maybe one of the villagers we summon will be more suited. All right, next up, I want to sort out my food chain, and for that, I'm going to need a warehouse. Well, actually, I'm going to need a lot more than a warehouse, but for now, for this early in the game, I can make do with just the 1 warehouse. The sooner I can stop my villagers munching on raw vegetables and instead only eating soup, then the sooner I can start stockpiling food because I'm being much more efficient with my resources. That, in turn, will allow me to expand faster and with less of a headache. I mean, probably. All right, let's plug in some more Yoten blood and get villager number 2 for the episode. Nothing really stands out. I guess Hedvig technically wins over Gudrun. Okay, villager on the way, warehouse in production. I'm going to clean up some of these corpses because, you know, gross. And so while I do this, Editor Bucky is going to walk you through sort of my ballpark estimate for what I will need for this village to be self-sustainable before we start, you know, branching out to outposts. Oh my god, seriously? 1 woodcutter, 1 gatherer, 1 farmer, 1 fisher, 2 cooks day and night, 2 crafters day and night, 2 warriors for more hitting, 1 warehouse worker and 1 builder. What does he expect me to do? How mad do you think I was when I got to that bit of the recording? So now let's go over to the fisherman's hut, collect whatever fish he's caught. That's going to be part of the warehouse, by the way, is having a fish rack, so I don't have to do this again. So this should be the last time we make this trip, but we can also take the time to make sure everything over here is running smoothly. And it is certainly running smoothly. That is a lot of fish. Oh, and it looks like we got some perch now. So the season's changed. Perch can be caught during the summertime. I wonder if they give 5 meat too, like the pike. Although I am almost certain that's a bug. All right, let's drop the fish off outside the cooking hut because nothing bad ever happened to fish laying on the floor outside of a cooking hut. Oh, all right, fine. I'll cut it up for them. You know, I never plan it because it would be impossible to plan, but the warehouse just got done, and honestly, I'm quite impressed with the timing. So, like I said a little bit earlier, I'm going to put down a fish rack so that I don't have to go to the fisherman's hut anymore. And then I'm going to put down a cooked food storage because we are going to use the whitelist to block everyone from the cooking house except for the villager that will work at the warehouse here. Then for a couple more storages, I like the idea of having thatch storage. It is just something that we'll need in bulk a little bit later, so having a little bit more on hand now would be beneficial. And then what else? Nothing really stands out. You know what, I'll just throw down an arrow storage. That way when we get to using arrows, we can have somebody go and collect the ones that are just left laying all over the place. I do like to think ahead. Okay, 2 more quick things to do for the food chain setup. Let's assign 2 workers to the cooking hut, 1 day and 1 night worker, so that their schedules overlap and food isn't being burnt to a crisp between shifts. Heimdalla favors me. Now that is nice, isn't it? When people believe in you, it just feels good. For the task, I'm just going to do probably 8 soups is enough. It's fine. They're just going to be picked up and stored immediately anyway. All right, and I'll put a pin in that for now. We'll have to wait until these storages are built before we fiddle around with the whitelisting. I don't want anyone to accidentally starve by blocking all their access to food. In the meantime, let's go summon villager number 3. 3 already. Wow, we are making some good time with that. These aren't that good, to be honest. No combat perks, which is a shame. Let's go with Ira, though. She has a rock breaking perk, so she could become the mine worker in the outpost when we get to that stage. Bonus points if she comes with steadfast resolve. Alright, I'm going to head out in a minute and go do my nighttime Yoten and flax gathering run. I am going to request the workshop get upgraded before I leave, just in case my builder decides to get everything done. I don't think they will, but having an extra task wouldn't hurt just in case. Let's quickly build this well in an overly dramatic cinematic pose. Nice. Alright, I'm going to go bugger off into the wild and gather my stuff, and I'll see you in the morning. Okay, that should just about do it. I think I got a lot. I lost count, to be honest. Whoa, hold the phone. How many water sources are here? There's like 2, maybe, yeah, 3 over there and another one behind us. This is going to be a fantastic area for a farm. Actually, that is a lot of water. Sorry. That is a lot of water. So yeah, before I forget, and I know me, I will immediately forget. I'm just going to slap down a request for the farmhouse since we can now build that. And, you know, honestly, my very first Aska video was your first 3 days in Aska farm rush guide, and here we are on day 7 and I still haven't built it. I am wildly off schedule for this. And you all know what time it is. Villager number 4? I honestly can't remember at this point. Emma, Mighty Vigor. This is the trait that I believe it triggers, or it can trigger, a melee combat proficiency star. So yes, we're going to get Emma. She has a great potential to be a warrior, and we need warriors. Over here at the warehouse, our fish rack and our cooked food storage is done, so we can set up our little food production chain now, or at least food distribution chain, I guess. So let's start by assigning a worker to the warehouse. Hedvig, you will do. I don't need a stone harvester right this second. And then hop into the map. This is my new favorite part of update 5, by the way. You can right click buildings and villages, open the menu, and it takes you right there. You don't have to walk all the way over to them anymore. Oh my god, absolutely fantastic change. So we've gone into the Gatherer's Hut menu. We're going to go into the whitelist menu and turn every single villager off by clicking the check mark here. Then we're going to come down into the list and we're going to add our cooking house workers and our workshop worker, and soon plural workers, once we upgrade it to the level 2 version. And the reason for that is we want our chefs to have access to the raw food in the storages, and we want our workshop workers to have access to feathers and any fibers that are gathered as well. Later on, we're going to also be adding in the farmers so that they can have access to seeds, but that's a ways away for now. So with raw food blocked for the villagers, let's go into the cooking hut menu. Same way, right click and then open menu, still fantastic. And then in here, we want to, again, disable everyone and only grant access back to the warehouse worker, who I need to give a home, completely forgot, sorry. So the reason we add the warehouse worker to the cooking hut is because the bloody villagers, if allowed to, will go ahead and eat all the vegetables out of the cooking house storage. And it's just like, why are you doing this? So with this setup, only the cooking house can take vegetables from the gatherer, only the warehouse can take cooked food from the cooking house, and villagers therefore only have access to soup, which is the best, most nutritious food there is. At the moment in my game, there's now pies as part of the tier 2 upgrade for the cooking house. I like a good pie. But anyway, speaking of food, the day's getting on, the farm's not even half built, so let's load up the sled and make a go of it. We can take 6 large items at once in the sled, and that is basically saving our villagers 6 trips. It is so much more efficient. I wonder if they're ever going to let villagers use sleds, but then again, I kind of worry that they will, and then we'll just have traffic jams all over town. Well, that didn't take long at all. Do you know why? Because I used the sled. All right, last little thing here down by the farm, putting together a well for our farmers so they have access to all the water they need. And work-wise, Ira here, Ira? I don't know how to pronounce that one either. Ira here is a green thumb, which is the absolute goat as far as farming is concerned. So we can assign her, and then field-wise, I'm just going to do the one for now. I just want to get a flax field up and running as soon as possible, like 3-4 days later than I usually do. Actually, that is an entire harvest as well. I've kind of missed out on an entire flax harvest, which is a bit of a bummer, but you know, I was doing other things. It's not like I wrote a guide on this or anything. Okay, that's up and running out of my mind. I can forget about that for a few days. So now let's work on the militia. Now you do need a tier 2 Eye of Odin, but instead of upgrading this one, I'm going to actually demolish it and actually relocate it over towards near the barracks. Reason being, enemies are drawn to the Eye of Odin. That's where they go to when it's a blood moon or invasion. So having it near our defensive structure, at least in the early game before I have walls and a lot of defenders, that makes more sense to me. Plus there's an awful lot more room up here to fight than back down below where I'm always bumping into rocks or houses. So I think here looks about right. It's close enough to the barracks that any warriors training there will see or aggro onto any mobs that start attacking the eye. And if they don't, I'll have a smoker horn soon, more on that in a second, and they'll definitely be in range of that. Alright, Eye is up. Let's hop into the menu again and request the upgrade. It will cost 5 Yoten blood, but honestly, that is a fair price for having 2 militia. It also comes with a lot more housing bonus, which doesn't matter at this point. Will matter more when we move it back into the residential area. But that ability to field 2 militia is going to be so important for the next blood moon. Why didn't I pick that up? I'm too silly. There it is. There's our eye. So now if we access the eye, we have this new tab, Town Militia, and we can take a look at here at who we want to join our defense force. Now, Emma, she did come with 1 star, so she has the Mighty Vigor perk. We have to give her a home in a second. Why do I keep forgetting to house my villagers? Just terrible. I'm a terrible landlord. Okay, so Emma, you can be one of our defenders, and the other one... I guess it can be Sven. I kind of want Sven to be our crafter, though. I don't want to waste his crafting talents on being a warrior, but, you know, for the time being, I guess Sven, and if somebody better pops along before the next blood moon, we'll just switch them out. Let's go give poor Emma a place to sleep, and then I will see you in the morning. Hey, it's that time of the episode where I say it's a gorgeous game, I love the lighting. Okay, so I just made a update video for the stump harvesting sticks and reeds, mini update. And I asked in the comments what people wanted as part of future updates, what could be done to make the game better in their opinion, since the devs have shown an absolute willingness to listen and respond to player feedback. And one of the ideas that was suggested was that stonecutters go out and harvest Yoten blood at a certain level, I think tier 2 or tier 3. And I honestly think that's a really good idea. Probably tier 3, because, you know, harvesting Yoten blood is sort of like a part of the learning curve of the game. You do want to be incentivized to do it, but after a while, it does get a bit tedious. But I thought that was a really good idea because, you know, they keep adding stuff to the caves, the ability to renew the walls, which basically gives you infinite stones, and they just added small stones to drop as well. So the stone cutter is kind of becoming a little bit obsolete in many regards. So yeah, I think adding Yoten blood harvest to sort of like the tier 2 or probably tier 3 is a really good idea to make it viable long-term late game. Also, where the heck did this fog come from? Oh my god, that is so creepy. A white just walking out of the fog. Jeez, that is enough to make your heart skip a few beats. Begone, foul lobster. Okay, home again. Time to summon villager number 12. And if I did my napkin math right, the last villager we'll need to sort of like have a bare bone skeleton crew, allowing New Asgard to function more or less self-sufficiently. Also, battle-scarred veteran. I think this is somebody who's going to come with some melee training as well, some melee proficiency stars. So absolutely going to take Ori here and really hope for the best. It would be amazing to get 3-star melee combat proficiency, although we can make it happen anyway with the water runestone. Getting it without the water runestone is just that little bit better because, you know, I don't have that right now. Anyway, I just requested a heavy club at the workshop just in case that's what they prefer. You can't choose your warrior loadout with the tier 1 barracks anymore. They moved that to the upgraded tier 2 version. So on the off chance that our new warriors will want a 2-handed weapon, they'll have one in stock waiting for them. Hey, Editor Bucky got an easy one for you. Cue the smoker music. I got it on the first go. Okay, so with the smoker horn, some leather scraps that we got from harvesting 2, and I think a piece of rope, we can make the smoker horn, which is needed to summon the militia. And now I am feeling much better about the impending blood moon. I actually can't remember how to summon the militia. I know there's 2 functions, left and right click. One of them summons the militia, but the other one wakes everyone up that's nearby. I actually have a short on it somewhere. I think I'm gonna have to go revisit that to remind myself how to use it, because in my last series, Gates of Helheim, I didn't have herbivores, so I didn't have horn smokers, so I went the entire playthrough without a smoker horn. Aska how, the militia. The left mouse button or the primary action on the controller will wake up any nearby villagers, while the right mouse button or the secondary action on controllers rallies any nearby militia to your location. I remember making that short. It took me a really long time. Anyway, our new villager is here. Absolutely no idea when they got here, but that is our battle-scarred veteran, so let's go and have a look at their proficiencies. Of course, useless. Seriously, how are you a bear-powered, giant, battle-scarred veteran without any melee proficiency? Oh my god, the game just absolutely mocked me in front of everyone. I'm still going to assign her anyway, because when I get the water runestone, they'll just have 3-star proficiency for faster leveling anyway, and technically those perks are helpful because they increase her stats, but I was just hoping for somebody with some proficiency stars just so that they level a little bit faster. But anyway, she can have a temporary schedule starting work at 10 PM or 9 PM, so she can have a little bit of time to get here. No leisure time for my warriors, because when they wake up, they have that stamina buff, so that stamina buff will actually help them train a little bit better at the training dummies. They'll just be able to train a tiny bit more before running out of stamina and having to take a rest, so, you know, small efficiencies. But anyway, she wants a shield for her patrol, so let's make her one and also request one to be made automatically at all times, and we're good to go. Oh, and before I forget, we'll add her to the militia. We can only have 2, so we'll remove Emma and we'll put Ori on. And of course, I have forgotten to give her a home. Oh, I am actually out of homes. So I have to finish off the cottage pretty quickly. Although new summons all come with a 24-hour buff. I think it's called Optimistic Outlook or something. It's just a massive happiness boost, so she's not going to get mad or anything not having a home, not for the first day at least. And that should be more than enough time to get this cottage up and running. I just want to remind myself what materials it takes. It needs one more log for this phase, so I should probably take a bunch of long sticks and bark and sticks, to be honest. Alright, that's most of the sticks done. I need rope and long sticks. Wait, where are my long sticks? I forgot the long sticks. I'm so stupid. You know what? I just realized I don't have time to go get the long sticks. It's almost 10 p.m. and I'm kind of paranoid about a blood moon tonight, so I just want to get some sleep. Get a stamina buff in case in half an hour a bunch of skeletons and zombies show up on my doorstep. I hate it when I'm right. Okay, based on the invasion spawner, it looks like they should come straight through the woods, straight to the Eye of Odin. They might take a detour into the village by the cottage if they aggro onto the building, but it's kind of a straight shot to the eye, so I think we're good. This is a really good outcome, actually. Potentially really good outcome. Potentially terrible also. Ah, crap bag's already here. That was awesome. Okay, so I'm going to spend the night harvesting up all these bodies. I don't want to do what I did in Helheim and just let them pile up and up and up and up and up. And then tomorrow we can put the finishing touches on the starter village, so the extra cottage for all of our people. And then we can finish off the prerequisites for the outpost and get going on that. We need to build the market. We have the warehouse already. That unlocked the market. And we'll need to build the market before we head out because that is the prerequisite building for the outpost. But yeah, those are the last few things we need to tie up, and then we can finally get started on outpost building. Fan-bloody-tastic. The cottage is up. I'll throw the beds in a second, but there's just really one more thing to do, and then it's outpost time. So for now, the market can go next to the woodcutter. It's just going to build that much faster. Plus, it's sort of like a transition zone from the residential to the industrial up on the slightly higher area here. So I guess it kind of makes sense. We're going to have a main highway coming through here anyway. But yeah, my most important factor right now is just accessibility to resources so I can get it up and done as fast as I can. That took a long time, actually. I needed a lot of rope, and I had none because somebody forgot to do the flax farm a couple days ago, so I had to do another nighttime flax harvest run. But it's up. Comes with 2 sleds, by the way, which is why it's such a pain in the ass to build. It took so much bloody rope. But it's up, which means if I turn the UI back on and come to our build menu here, under settlement, outpost has been unlocked, and surprisingly, shockingly, thankfully, really easy on the materials. It only takes like your regular long sticks and your regular large stones, and everything else is also like the super basic one. So this is going to be super easy to build. In fact, I could fit most of these materials on a sled. I could fit all of these materials on a cart for later down the road when we have access, you know, 2 carts from the carpenter. So for now, I think it's time to head on out and try to find a mine. Now, I didn't see one on my trip from the shipwreck. We came this way, and so we didn't actually pass one. I could head north, and I could also head south, and to be honest, I quite like going south because, like Treebeard said, it's like walking downhill. And as you can see from the build menu, we do have 2 quick builds. I put down a 3rd cottage because I would like to get the population up to 18 villagers at some point. That'll just make it a little bit more self-sufficient. We also have over there down by the farm a couple more farm fields so we can start growing vegetables, and a lantern because there is a smoker spawn nearby. But my villagers can handle that. We are going to head south and see if we can find the mine, and that will be the first of our 8 or so, 8 or more outposts in the 9 realms. It would essentially be our 2nd realm, as sort of like described by the title of this series. I have no idea why it took me so long to phrase that. I think I'm about ready to end this episode. So let's find the mine and get me some sleep. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Look at this. Look at this. Hang on. I gotta discover it. Look at this. Look. It was there the whole time. It was a stone's throw outside of my range. I came down here. I came down through this open field. I came down here. I had a 50-50 of coming to the mine or just starting the village off, and we chose the village. It's so close. But you know what? I think this is too easy for the spirit of the series. At least this early on into the game, I want it to be more challenging. I don't want to sort of like have a shortcut to the best weapons without putting any sort of like effort in, if that makes sense. Because that's not really an outpost, that's sort of like an outskirts. So I'm going to call a executive decision to keep this mine in mind. Keep this mine in mind, that's a great sentence there. But I want to keep exploring. I want to find a 2nd one, you know, maybe a bit further away over here. Or, you know, we could even branch north if need be. I just want to try and find a mine that is just a little bit more challenging for an outpost setup. All right, let's get going. I'm not sure if this is the 2nd mine or just a really big hill. I haven't heard the chime. There it is. I have heard the chime. So yes, this is the 2nd mine. And I think for the purposes of this series, a little better. Let's take a look. Yes, perfect. Okay, so it is a bit further away. Yeah, that one's far too easy. This one here, we should make this the outpost, and then I think it'd be really cool to have a road coming down here. We'll try and get the road to go right between the Draugr field and the large spire, then that way we'll be forced to make some defensive, you know, structures like a wall, some towers, and then we'll eventually have perhaps 1 or 2 more outposts. Yeah, maybe actually, yeah, we'll have a road coming down here to begin with, and as we build up our sort of like road protection, you know, we can have an outpost here that will be, like I said in the intro, sort of like a forward camp, like a military camp, in order to keep these POIs suppressed, or, you know, the large spire suppressed as we can, given it's a bloody massive structure. But yeah, we got a lot of room to build with here. Oh, we also got a lake here. Is that a lake or the beach? Oh, it's another lake. Oh, fantastic. Even better. So we have the foods taken care of. They can grow. They can fish for food. I was thinking I was going to have to ship in some food. I might have to ship in food to begin with while the population of the outpost is kind of low. But yeah, this is absolutely perfect. This is going to be it. Outpost number 1, and we will get started. We'll break ground on it in the next episode. Okay, so this is a wrap for episode 2, and we got so much done. I honestly don't know how I fit it all in. And I know it might be controversial ignoring the mine right outside the village, but I'm pretty sure setting up camp here at the quote-unquote harder mine will make for a better challenge and, you know, a more entertaining playthrough, and hopefully a more enjoyable viewing experience for you guys. So let me know in the comments what you think this outpost or this realm should be called out of the 9 Viking realms, or maybe we can make up our own names, you know, just no outposty muck-outpost face. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed your time here, then please consider grabbing a sub, dropping a like, or leaving a comment. Shout out and huge thank you to Haunted Rose, Amy, and Celtic Chaos, who have all become channel members joining as knights, and also to Winnie, who has joined as a page. Thank you so much for your support, and I hope to continue earning your support. For anyone else interested in becoming a member, the details are listed below, and if you haven't already, why not check out one of my guides or other adventures by clicking on one of the videos on screen now, and I'll see you next time. Cheerio.